Welcome to Coffee Break with Rachel Vigil, taking a daily look at the biggest stories in Denver sports and interacting live with you, the Coffee Break fam. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of joe, and enjoy your coffee break. Here's your host, Rachel Vigil.
Well, it seems like the Broncos have made one thing abundantly clear this past weekend. They have a plan, whether that's going to be Jarrett Stidham week 1 as QB number 1, or they're moving up in the draft to get whoever Sean Payton likes. It feels like a plan is in place. And to talk about that, we bring in the wonderful James Merilatt on this Monday. Feels like they have a plan in place, James.
I feel like they have a hope. I think they're hoping.
That doesn't give me hope.
They're hoping something happens.
Okay.
It's not really a plan. Like, the only part of it right now that they can control is that Jarrett Stidham will be an option week 1.
Fair.
And Ben DiNucci. Like, those are the two quarterbacks on the roster.
Fair. But I feel like if you don't put your name in for any of the free agency QBs, you have to have a plan. You've had to have talks with somebody to know that you can move up and get whoever you're hoping to get.
Maybe, but things change. It's a fluid situation.
100%.
Right? So, like, do I think they want to draft a quarterback? I do.
Yep.
Do I think they have had conversations and know, hey, if we need to get to 8, we need to get to 5, we need to get wherever, here's what it's going to cost us, and we're willing to do it if we have to get the guy we want? Sure, they've probably had that conversation. But what happens if the Giants fall in love with J.J. McCarthy at 6 and they realize, oh, we got to get to 5 to get him because otherwise the Broncos are going to go there? Speaking of which, 5 is the Chargers. The Chargers aren't helping Denver out.
No.
They're not. So
0% chance.
And Arizona wants to add a receiver. So are they going to move off of 4 and give up Marvin Harrison Jr.? Like, it's easier said than done. You may look at it and say, on paper, we can trade up. Here's what it's going to cost. We can get to here. You have to have a dance partner in order to do it.
True.
So what I wrote about today, denversports.com, is I feel like the Broncos are playing a game of musical chairs. The music's about to stop, and I'm not sure they're going to have a chair.
That's a little scary.
Because there are a lot of teams that want quarterbacks. They're sitting at 12. So in theory, they're only guaranteed of getting the 12th best quarterback in the draft. Now, the first 11 picks aren't going to be quarterbacks.
Correct. But I bet half of them are.
But in theory, they could be. And they're going to have to move up, or someone's going to have to fall. Hoping someone falls is not a plan.
Agreed. That's a terrible
Thinking you
plan.
can move up is kind of a plan, but you should have a fallback. If you were sitting at 3, you don't have to have a fallback. You're getting either Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, or Drake May. You're getting one of them.
Yep.
Even if you're the Giants sitting at 6, the odds are you're going to get one of the top 5 quarterbacks. Like, that would be really weird that somebody traded a 4 and somebody traded a 5 and you got nobody.
Yep.
Right? The music's going to stop and you're probably going to have a chair. When you're at 12, you're a long way from being guaranteed a jack squat.
You are.
So it's not a plan to me. It's a hope. And it's not necessarily a terrible direction. Like, at this point, yes, just go get a rookie quarterback.
It sounds super easy, right?
It sounds easy.
It sounds easy.
And
but
we just keep saying it like it's going to happen. It's like, well, there's no guarantee of it. And that's the part of it that's got me worried, because they have no backup plan. You know what their backup plan is?
Jarrett Stidham.
Which becomes they're tanking and they're going to draft Shedeur Sanders next year. Like that, which is not a plan to me. How
do you feel about that? Because I know a lot of people here in Colorado are kind of, I'm totally with you. A lot of people though are like, yeah, let's get Shedeur. Let's keep him here in Colorado. The whole thing. I do not like the idea of tanking. You and I have talked about it. Like, you try and win every single game.
It's bad karma. You're tempting the football gods, lowercase g. Like, it's just a bad idea. If it turned out that way, fine. But you can't say that's a plan. Just because things fall a certain directions, like you fell bass backwards into something, you didn't have a plan. It just, things worked out. Sometimes that's how it goes in life. But yeah, that's not how you want to go about this.
Listen, Shedeur Sanders is a very good quarterback, but let's not go out there and act like he had a Heisman year this past year and that year 2 is going to be all that much better, right? Like, there's no guarantee it could even be him.
He was also the quarterback of a team that blew a 29-0 lead at home to Stanford.
Yeah, my point exactly.
Like, okay.
Yeah, everyone's like, let's go all in on him. No, that's bad. I don't like that plan at all. But staying in this year's draft, you look at Bears, they're going Caleb Williams, obviously, with the trade for Justin Fields. Commanders, Jaden. New England Patriots, probably Drake May, right?
Yep.
They're still in need of a quarterback. Then you go Cardinals, Chargers, wide receiver, yada, yada. Giants, like you mentioned, Titans, Falcons, Bears, Jets, Vikings. Then you get to the Broncos.
So you're probably, if there's no trades, first 3 are quarterbacks.
Yep.
Giants probably taking J.J. McCarthy from what you hear. And then you start looking at it and you're like, okay, the Jets take a quarterback at 10. Do the Vikings take a quarterback at 11? The Vikings are in the quarterback market.
Yeah.
They have more ammo to move up than the Broncos.
Yep.
So again, if you're the Chargers sitting there at 5, you're going to take the best offer. But if the offers are the same, you're taking the Vikings, not the Broncos. You're not helping Denver out.
Are you willing to give up 3 first-round draft picks?
No.
To move up to 4 or 5?
No. There's one guy that I would even consider that for, and that's Caleb Williams.
And
even that, I would sit there and say, man, you've given up
risk.
You gave up 3 first-round picks for Russell Wilson
and Sean
Payton. You gave up 3 second-round picks for Russell Wilson and Sean Payton.
Yeah.
Now you're going to give up more draft capital to where you could have, in theory, given up 9 guys that should be starters on your team to get a head coach and a rookie quarterback. That's
scary.
What are you surrounding him with?
Yeah.
So again, it's why all the people just talk about, they got a plan. They're going to do this package and move up. Like, okay,
if it works out, great. But if it doesn't, this is a disaster.
I think right now it's every bit as likely that it's a disaster that it works out. I'm not saying it's not going to.
Agreed.
But Sean Payton isn't a dictator here when it comes to the entire league. He can't force someone to make a trade with him.
Yeah.
He can't force someone to pass on the quarterback he likes. So there's no guarantee that they're going to get the guy they want. If there was, fine. Pass on Sam Darnold. Pass on Jacoby Brissett. Don't trade for Sam Howell.
Yeah.
Don't trade for any of these guys. Like, I get it. None of them are going to come in here and likely be the solution.
Yeah.
I mean, Justin Fields would have been interesting, but
I would have entertained the conversation.
But he doesn't fit with Sean Payton's system, which whole nother conversation. But that's annoying. Sam Darnold, a little interesting. Like, there's a reason he went 3rd overall, but he's also now on his 4th team,
and a lot of money for him.
And then the 3rd guy, and people will laugh at this, but if I want a guy that has upside, I'd rather you're terrible or you're great. I have zero interest in mediocre.
Agreed.
And Jacoby Brissett's mediocre.
Agreed.
Sam Howell's mediocre. So to me, Zach Wilson's a guy, like, he went number 2 overall for a reason.
We would have had Wilson and Wilson. I don't know what I would have done.
That kid can spin it, though.
Yeah.
And he's been at the dumpster fire that is the Jets. It would be his 2nd team. Like, that's a little bit more football rehab I can buy into. If they want to swing that trade for a 6th or 7th round pick, why not? Like, okay.
What do we think the Steelers saw in Justin Fields? If you're for sure Russell Wilson is going to be your starter week 1,
I think
Fields is backing him up, which is mind-blowing to me.
I think there's 2 things. One, they have a really talented quarterback room that's pretty cheap. Both guys under $2 million. Like, that's pretty amazing. I think it gives them the option next year, because Justin Fields will be heading into his 5th year. They're not going to pick up his 5th year option. It would be a huge contract.
Yep.
So it gives them next year, if they got 2 guys they could go re-sign. It gives them a little leverage in renegotiating with Russ. They've said they want to sign Russ to a long-term deal, but it gives you leverage, gives you options. And it's also, even if it all works out exactly how you're hoping it's going to work out, Russ plays really, really well. You have a guy that maybe he's your Taysom Hill type of player. I mean, the thing about Justin Fields coming to the Broncos, he would have solved their running game more than he would have solved their passing game.
Yeah.
And you have somebody that, if something happens to Russell Wilson and he misses a couple of games, Justin Fields can come in and give you just enough of a unique dynamic that you're a tough team to get ready for and to play, and maybe you can keep the thing on track until Russ gets back. Like,
so they're going for playoffs. I know, it sounds every year, every team's going for the playoffs, but you really think this was a buy-in?
I will be wearing my Russ jersey in Vegas next year, wildcard weekend, watching my Steelers play.
Well, the Broncos aren't there. I don't think there's any way they make the playoffs.
I've made this bet with multiple people that Russell Wilson wins a playoff game before Sean Payton. I don't even think this is a risk, is it? Like, look how it's all played out.
They just the Broncos don't have anybody.
Russ lands in Pittsburgh, a playoff caliber team with Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph. Like, he's all the people who say he's not better than him. I mean, those guys, give me a break.
Agreed.
Right? So they're going to be better. Mike Tomlin has a winning record, makes the playoffs basically every year. How are the Broncos getting to the playoffs?
I know. The biggest names on your team right now are Garrett Bowles and
Pat Surtain.
Pat Surtain. And
That's it.
Just about skipped over him because I forgot about him.
Offensively, Jarrett Stidham's their quarterback, Javonte Williams, Adam Troutman, Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, and Tim Patrick coming back after not playing since
2 years.
2021.
Yeah, it's a bit of a rough.
I'm not seeing it. So, and then defensively, they're not going to be as good as they were.
Yeah.
They've lost Josie Jewell. They've lost Justin Simmons.
How about Justin Simmons not finding a home?
I mean, it certainly justifies the Broncos cutting him.
Yeah.
And, we all say, well, why didn't they trade him at the deadline? Maybe they didn't have a market.
It was cutting him for the money. So is he being a little greedy and not wanting to sign a deal that he doesn't think he's worth?
Maybe. And I don't think this is going to happen, but we've seen it happen 3 consecutive off seasons where Kareem Jackson left. He was going to go test the free agent market, go get a better deal, couldn't get it, and came back on a team-friendly deal. If Justin Simmons can't get $16 million a year like he was set to make from the Broncos.
You're not coming back to the Broncos.
I don't know.
There's no way.
If you're only going to get 5 and you're going to get 5 from the Broncos and 5 from the Titans, I'm just throwing out numbers. Are you moving your family? Like,
fair.
You would do that for the Chiefs. You would do that for the Eagles.
Yeah.
You would do that for the Ravens. You would do that for a team like I'm legitimately going to have a chance at Super Bowl. San Francisco. But let's say it's Arizona, just to pick another random team. You're not moving your family to make the same amount of money.
Kids out of school, the whole thing.
Right. So,
fair.
Now if Arizona's offering you 16 and the Broncos are offering you 5, you're moving your family for an extra $11 million.
Yeah, you are, 100%.
So that'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I think there's a chance he comes back once they see that, hey, the market isn't what we thought it was. Mm-hmm. Maybe the Broncos offer was as good as we're going to get. Let's just stay here. I think that opens up that opportunity, which would be great. Justin Simmons is great in the community. Justin 100%. Simmons is a really good player. But we've been saying this, on this show and on the station and things for a long time, because Justin Simmons was that guy for years. It was like, is he going to get a new contract? They're going to franchise him. I had this conversation with Brandon Stokely a lot of he's a really good player.
Yeah.
Is he a great player? Is he Troy Polamalu back in the day? Is he Ed Reed back in the day? Is he Honey Badger during his prime? Is he even Buda Baker?
He led the league in interceptions last year.
Okay.
He's a solid player.
And he's been here 8 years and they've never made the playoffs and they've had 7 losing seasons.
But they also have not had a great offense.
I get it.
And we can make all the excuses, yada, 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 but let's be honest. And I'm sure a lot of people don't even know who Justin Simmons is.
And he's been better the last couple of years in terms of making big plays. He made the interception in London that prevented the Broncos from falling behind 14-0. That game would have been over.
Yep.
He seems to get an interception every time they play the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, he's made bigger plays of late, where 2 or 3 years ago you look at it and say, well, tell me the game Justin Simmons changed. Agreed. There's more to that argument now, but he's still a very good player. Mm-hmm. Is he a Ring of Fame player? I don't think you can be on the Ring of Fame if you never played a playoff game.
Yeah.
Not now.
Ring
of
Fame in the community.
But some of the guys on there, Charlie Johnson and Goose Gonsolin and the old timers.
Yeah.
They didn't play a playoff game, and I get that.
I also think they're too loosey goosey with the Ring of Fame. It's like, oh, you can just go in. I'm like, no, you have to.
Well, they are and they
something.
aren't. Like Al Wilson's not in there. Why? Trevor Pryce isn't in there. Why? Ed McCaffrey's not in there. Why?
Mind blowing.
That doesn't make a ton of sense to me. So there's a lot of guys. Stink's not in there.
Really?
How's he not in there?
I didn't know Stink wasn't in there.
So I mean, there's a lot of people that should be in there that aren't.
Yeah.
Yet John Lynch is up there, and
see,
again, that's a whole nother conversation for a whole
little
nother
loosey goosey on a few names up there for sure, especially of recent. It feels like, I'm not surprised Justin Simmons hasn't gone off the board yet, but it's also like you have to be a team who just needs that final piece, right? And if you are kind of looking at him and he really wants $16 million, but you can get somebody that's almost just as good for 13, like that money plays into it somehow. The cap is large, but the cap does end up eating itself.
And there's 2 positions of, in recent years that have kind of been undervalued by NFL teams. On offense, it's been running back. On defense, it's been safety, right? Teams tend to overspend for pass rushers,
100%.
for cornerbacks. Safety's kind of one of those of you'd like to have one. It's a luxury position.
I've been telling people that literally for so many weeks now. It is a luxury to have a good safety.
Because you can only impact the game so much unless you're Ed Reed, Troy Polamalu, a handful of guys in the history of the league. The rest of it is it's a little bit like receiver where it's kind of a dependent position, right? Like if your team can't stop the run and you're not a safety that can come up and play in the box and help stop the run, you're only going to do so much back there.
Yep.
If your team can't get after the quarterback and make him throw the ball a little inaccurately or a little early or a little late, you're not going to be able to get a lot of picks because you're back there playing in zone. So it's a bit of a dependent position. It's a luxury. Like you said, if you're a team that's on the cusp of winning a Super Bowl,
then you go out and you do it.
So you got to be that. You got to need a safety.
Yep.
And you got to have salary cap space.
Yeah.
That starts to limit with each of those things,
There's like 2
the
teams in the
available
NFL.
teams. Right.
And you're looking all over, and the safety market was massive this year. Jarrett Stidham, let's go to him and just look at his stats real quick, because it is a little interesting. I mean, he played 5 games. Like, you got 3 losses in there. You can't put them all on him. But do his stats at all reach out to you and think, all right, week 1, he could be the quote-unquote bridge quarterback for the rookie? Or do you truthfully think if they get a rookie, you just start him week 1? You put him to the Lions.
Rookie week 1.
Amen, James. Everyone else is like, no, don't do that. I'm like, why? My point exactly.
You would play another guy if you would play Jarrett Stidham or a veteran if you thought we have a chance at the playoffs.
Yes.
They don't. So play the kid, right? Like, there would have been no reason for CJ Stroud to sit this year in Houston.
No.
They weren't going to the playoffs with whoever the guy is down there.
I don't even know who they had.
Right, whatever. See, how quickly we forget. If he plays great, they go to the playoffs. If he doesn't, at least he's learning.
Yeah.
You don't learn standing there holding the clipboard. So, no, you play a rookie. And here's the thing. Jarrett Stidham's numbers, go look at those and go look at Paxton Lynch. They're essentially the same guy.
Oh, I haven't made that comparison yet.
They're essentially the same guy.
That's scary.
He's just not an option.
That's really scary, James.
He's not an option as your QB1. This is a ridiculous plan because
and they paid him so much. That's where my frustration comes in.
Well, but this is where it turns into, hey, are you a whiteboard wizard on Wednesday? That's what these offensive coaches love. And Jarrett Stidham, I'm sure he is. And Sean Payton has fallen in love with that. At the end of the day, you got to be able to make plays on the field.
Yeah.
Because everything's not going to go according to script. You can only put together so many 12-play, 80-yard drives where you don't have a false start, you don't have a holding penalty, you don't have a drop pass, you don't have something that gets you off script, and you got to be able to make a play. This is what they're setting themselves up for.
You do have to give Jarrett Stidham a little bit of credit, though, because when he took over, it looked very similar to what we saw to Russ. Which you can either blame that on the game plan or you can put that on Russell Wilson. It depends on which one you want to do, but it seemed very similar. The
end result was similar. Like, you would look at the numbers and look at the score, and it was similar, but he threw a touchdown to little Jordan Humphrey against the Chargers.
Yep.
I think it was a 50-some-yard touchdown. It was a 4-yard crossing route. That's not the same as the 50-yard moon ball that Russ threw against the Chargers to Cortland Sutton in LA. It's just not.
And that's where the only difference comes in is Russ made some really beautiful plays where you were like, oh my gosh, that one got me really excited. Jarrett Stidham didn't, but take out all those plays, it was very basic.
Well, so it looks the same on paper. It doesn't look the same to the eyes when you're watching, because
I thought they were both boring.
You don't see mistakes, right? Jarrett Stidham, I can't come up with the mistake he made.
No.
I can't come up with why are you scrambling? Football. Why did you fumble there? Like, I didn't see that. And you also don't see the hero ball.
Yeah.
So the hero ball for Russ sometimes was bad. Sometimes it was good. We eliminated both of those. I'll take the guy that's feast or famine. Again, I have zero interest in mediocrity. Be great or be terrible. Being, right down the middle, 8-8 back in the day. Who cares?
Oh, I'm with you.
That's Jarrett Stidham.
You had to put your money down right now. Are they going to get the QB they want in the draft?
I think they will.
Beautiful.
But I'd say it's about 52% chance they get it. Like, if you made me bet.
So you're putting your money down on 52%? Good for you,
It's
James.
better than putting it on the 48.
Well, fair.
If you made me pick a lane, I'd say yes, but I don't feel particularly good about it. No.
I don't either. It's definitely going to be interesting. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee Break. Plenty of good stuff. The quarterback talk will, of course, continue up until the draft, or if the Broncos make any moves, and where will Justin Simmons go? A question we'll keep you updated on. Check out Denver Sports Daily, 10 a.m. every single weekday. We're breaking down everything you need to know in the highlights. And if you are watching us on YouTube, subscribe, like, comment down below, and let us know. Are you okay with Jarrett Stidham being QB1 week 1, or are you all in on a rookie QB? We'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.